Bourgeoisie Civil War, Demystifying the American Revolution, often lauded as a noble struggle for liberation and democracy, must be re-examined through a more critical lens to reveal its fundamental character as a conflict of the bourgeoisie, an insurrection not simply for independence from British tyranny, but for the establishment and consolidation of a capitalist order. In this light, it becomes evident that the revolution was less about the emancipation of the masses and more about the advancement of the interests of the burgeoning capitalist class. From the onset, the American colonies were marked by significant economic disparities. The elite merchants and landowners, those who would emerge as the bourgeoisie, sought to challenge the constraints imposed by the British imperial system, which favored established aristocracies and stifled the aspirations of colonial capitalists. This economic motivation drove the so-called patriots, many of whom were deeply invested in the burgeoning market economy. Their grievances, articulated through slogans of "no taxation without representation," were fundamentally aimed at securing their economic autonomy and removing obstacles to their trade and commerce. The narrative surrounding the revolution often glorifies the struggle against oppression and tyranny, framing it as a fight for universal rights. However, such an interpretation glosses over the realities of who participated in this upheaval and whose interests were truly served. The rhetoric of liberty was primarily a vehicle for the elite to solidify their power while leaving the majority, the laboring classes, enslaved individuals, and indigenous populations, largely untouched by the ideals of freedom and equality. The American Revolution can thus be understood as a bourgeois civil war, in which factions of the ruling class clashed over the direction of society and governance. Loyalists, who remained aligned with British interests, represented one faction, while the revolutionary leaders sought to establish a new order that would empower the local elite. The fight for independence was not merely a matter of national pride. It was a strategic maneuver for control over the resources and mechanisms of state power. Additionally, the revolutionary zeal of the period was complicated by the continued existence of slavery and the subjugation of indigenous peoples. The new republic, despite its lofty proclamations of freedom, retained and even fortified systems of oppression. It reframed the struggle of a specific class while neglecting the real liberation struggles of those who remained marginalized. The Declaration of Independence may espouse ideals of equality, but the reality was one of deepening colonial exploitation and racial oppression. The aftermath of the revolution further underscores its bourgeois character. The establishment of the Constitution and the subsequent Bill of Rights reflected compromises made by the ruling class to secure their interests and ensure the new government structure would favor property owners. The creation of an economic environment conducive to capitalism, complete with protections for private property, was paramount. Thus, the revolution's so-called victory betrayed its rhetoric, as the political apparatus was designed to safeguard the privileges of wealthy elites rather than to foster genuine democratic governance. In this context, the revolution can be viewed as a precursor to the various social struggles that would follow in the United States. It laid the groundwork for the contradictions of American capitalism, characterized by cycles of growth and crisis, inequality and exploitation. The mythos of the American Revolution continues to resonate as a tale of freedom, often masking the realities of class conflict that persist beneath the surface. In sum, to demystify the American Revolution is to recognize it as a bourgeois civil war, where the clashing interests of emerging capitalist elites shaped its course and outcomes. The triumph of the revolutionary cause did not lead to a more equitable society but rather established a new form of domination, a system that, while proclaiming liberty, enshrined inequality and oppression. As we reflect on the revolutionary legacy, we must strive to uncover and challenge the enduring class struggles that continue to define this nation and demand a true transformation that extends freedom beyond the bourgeois vision to include all people.